Excuse us smiling from ear to ear, but this is awesome. The chain is trying to push over. Yeah, we're going home, unfortunately. Good morning and welcome to a lumpy, bumpy, wet, dirty and very dark ride when we started, but a beautifully sunny gravel ride up in the Thetford Forest in Norfolk. Oh! And we're up here today for training for the Dirty Reaver next year. Oh, yeah, and very much how I found on the Dirty Reaver last year, this video is going to be very difficult to record because, as I say, this route is extremely lumpy and bumpy. We're on a 41 mile route today around Thetford Forest, around Brandon Forest. Oh, I'm getting knocked about all over the place. But yeah, 41 mile route. We've got 30 miles to do before we get to a cafe stop, which right now feels very much needed. And then a final 10 miles back to the car. This all of a sudden feels very much like the North London dirt ride. We're already about 11 miles into this ride because I have not been able to find a suitable spot to start recording at any point. It has been up, down, lumpy, through dirty puddles. We've had sand for the last 5 or 6 miles and that was very treacherous. And in fact, one of our number, Mark, fell off. Oh! Thankfully, he wasn't too badly hurt, but it just shows you the perils that you can face when you take on the gravel. But this is why we're here, getting ready for the Reaver next year, getting the legs ready for it, having a shakedown of the bikes. And although I say all that, actually, it's just bloody good fun. We are all having an absolute ball. And I say we, I appear to have left everyone behind at the moment. Normally it's me trailing at the back because cycling and filming is not easy, especially on terrain like this. But there are 8 of us out today because on the full ride, when we head up to Kilda, there's going to be a baker's dozen of us. Despite there only being 4 of us last year, the 4 of us have talked the rest of the guys into it, which is generally how it works in this group. There will be a splinter group that goes off and tries a ride, and we'll love it so much that we'll persuade the rest of the guys to go for it the following year. And so the same has happened this year with the Reaver. But let's get a little bit further into this ride, get a little bit more dirty, a little bit more wet, and I'll have a bit more of a chat with you about our preparations for the Reaver. All right, well, I'm a little bit concerned because I've now come to a stop and there's literally nobody behind me, which tends to suggest, because I'm not that fit to be able to get this far ahead of everyone, that there might be a problem further back. Yeah, I think I better turn around and go back. Let's go and find out what's happened. On that point, it would be nice if we had the brand new Garmin head units, because then we could all link them up together and find out where everyone is. So Garmin, if you're watching, feel free to drop me an email if you want to sponsor me. Okay, so it turns out that despite having the route, I went the wrong way. I think it's this way now, I think. Right, let's see if I can catch the lads up. This is going to be a struggle. Hopefully they've waited up for me at some point up ahead. Yeah, those Garmin head units would be very handy about now. I saw some figures in the distance and I was hoping that was them, but no, it turned out to be a group of walkers. I think part of the problem is that they may have thought that I went off way ahead to record the start of this video, and now they think I'm still ahead of them. So they might be chasing to find me and I'm chasing to find them. Have you guys had a group of cyclists come past you? No. No? All right, no worries, thank you. That's a concern then. And of course, I know a lot of you are probably screaming at the screen right now, well, why don't you call them? And that is a very good idea, except there's no service in Thetford Forest. Hello mate, where are you guys?
We've got a bit of a mechanical back here on the trail. We've got a derailleur snap. I'm glad to hear your voice and you're not in a ditch.
No, not yet, but maybe on the way back to you. All right mate, I'll see you shortly.
Cheers,
bye. Bye. Okay, well that was my second suggestion, that maybe someone's had a mechanical, which unfortunately turns out to be the case. So I've probably come a good 3 or 4k further on, and now I'm going to go back and meet up with them. Ah, damn you, no phone signal.
can see on one of the links there's a little bit of the paint right there,
right,
and that's where the twist is. That's where the impact's been.
Bend it back. Maybe. If you get a...
I'm going to go back with him. You guys carry on, because he's going to struggle to get back on his own. Come on, get on, get on. That was a good cycle across the mountain there. Right, get a bit of speed up. Right, so major problem in that Jimmy's derailleur hanger has snapped, and we've tried all manner of trying to shorten the chain, lengthen the chain, get it onto various different gear ratios. Oh, hang on, log. Yeah, so ultimately there's not much that we can do. So I'm now heading back with Jimmy 10 miles back to the car. Jimmy's currently taken on what appears to be some kind of cyclocross route, but I think what we're actually going to do is find our way back to a road. I'm then going to ride back to the car and then drive back to meet Jimmy and put the bike on the car. Oh, what a nightmare. These things are sent to try us. All part of the adventure though, right Jimbo?
What the fun, look! Good training for our ultra.
I don't think they want you cycling around here. Right, well we've got a plan. I'm now going to head that way on the road, and Jimmy's just gonna stay here.
I mean, of all the places to be, you know, left whilst the plan is in operation, not bad.
So yeah, Jimmy's just going to sit here. I mean, I don't know.
Log.
like a frog.
Yeah.
Oh, was it? No, Little Miss
Muffet
sat on a tuffet,
yeah.
eating her curds and whey.
Okay.
So yeah, so I've got to ride 10, 11 miles back to the car now, but I'm going to go on the road because I think that might still be quicker than that very sandy, slow, treacherous, treacly part we came through. So I'm going to go and take the road, but it might still take me the best part of, I don't know, 45 minutes, 50 minutes to get back to the car, drive back here, pick Jimmy up, and then we'll figure out what we're doing from there. So, right, mate, I will catch up with you. Enjoy your log.
Ride safe.
Yeah, and I'll see you soon. See you, mate. Well, as I said earlier, these things are sent to try us. And try us they are today, unfortunately. But as I mentioned earlier in the video, this ride is a good preparation and shakedown for the bike. So I'm much happier that his derailleur hanger has come off here rather than actually on the dirty Reba. Right, let's get back to the car, get back and pick Jimbo up. Oh, well, of course, there'd have to be a headwind in the very direction that I need to go. This has been absolutely punishing. I just went past what appears to be a small airfield with a windsock that is barely hanging onto the pole it's attached to. Just my luck. And of course, I'm trying to push on as much as possible to save Jimmy having to sit on that log for too long. Although, having said that, I know he's probably having the time of his life, sitting in nature, loving looking around, just taking it all in, loving life. Still, at least this slow speed is allowing me to take in these beautiful surroundings. Every cloud and all that. Right, finally made it. 45 minutes, 11 miles. Not bad on a gravel bike with big, knobbly, resistant tyres. You waiting for a lift, mate?
You know anyone who could take me home?
You would not believe the headwind I've just had.
Was it all the way as
The
well?
whole way.
Why is it always a good
It's always a headwind. Right, we've got Jimbo, the bike's on the roof. Let's get to the calf.
You know, we should be on the trail.
We should be on the trail.
We're actually heading towards the
Cafe. Let's get a nice bacon sarnie, cup of tea, and sit and wait for the lads to turn up. What a day. Right, well, lovely breakfast with less miles than we expected to do for Jimmy and I. The other fellas did the 30 miles. However, because we spent a bit of time trying to fix the bike earlier on, it has pushed time on a bit. And unfortunately, I need to be back by 2:30 this afternoon because my son and I are back at the velodrome again for our track cycling accreditations. Unfortunately, I'm having to head off early. Jimmy needs to get back for family stuff as well. And so Kus, James, Zolly and Mark have pushed on. And yeah, we're going home, unfortunately. But right, let's get back and I will have a chat with you about where this ride went wrong and what we could possibly do next time to try and fix it. Okay, so as you can probably tell by the new t-shirt that I've got on, it is a different day because by the time I got back from Thetford, it was fairly late in the day and I had to quick rush to get to Lee Valley Velodrome with my son. However, I did want to finish this video off and talk a little bit about what went wrong on the ride. It is a bit of a disappointment that I wasn't able to finish the ride fully and only got to do about 10 miles on the gravel and then another 10 miles back to the car before I went to pick Jimmy up. I did want to do more on the gravel because there was lots I wanted to talk to you about, including the brand new Canon Grizzle that my friend Chris had got, the Redshift Sports suspension stem that my friend James had got, and also the AliExpress suspension stem that I put on Jimmy's bike, as well as the new Blackmore gilet that I had bought. So there was a lot to talk about and it was a shame that I didn't get to finish the video. But that aside, what actually happened on the ride? Well, having now studied the rear derailleur and looked at the severe amount of damage that's been done to it, you can see that the jockey wheel has completely snapped. So I think what happened was that a twig or some kind of branch flicked up, went into the jockey wheel and then just jammed the derailleur completely as Jimmy was putting some power down through the pedals. Therefore the chain continued to move around the cassette, and with the chain not able to move through the derailleur, it just completely pulled it up, snapped the hanger and then pulled it through the rear triangle past the seat stays, because there is a nasty bit of damage on the seat stays, or at least the paint anyway has been chipped away on the seat stays at the back. I'm hoping that there's no massive damage to the aluminium triangle at the back. I don't think there is. I think it is just paint damage. But also, as well as the derailleur going wrong, obviously the hanger snapped in two pieces as well, and so I'm currently trying to figure out which derailleur this bike actually uses. I thought I had a spare one, turns out unfortunately I don't. It has 120 printed on it. I don't know if that makes any difference. I've tried looking up a 120 derailleur hanger. It comes up with a few options that look similar to this, but nothing quite looking the same, so I'm going to have to do a little bit more research on that, and I have already bought the L-TWOO R9 rear derailleur for Jimmy to try and get him back on the road as soon as possible. That's going to be coming in the next week or so from AliExpress, but yeah, the derailleur hanger might take a little bit longer. But what could have been done differently to try and stop this happening, or not stop it happening, but at least try and fix it once it had happened? Well, obviously the first thing could have been to take a derailleur hanger with us. Unfortunately, in this situation, that probably wouldn't have made too much difference because although the derailleur hanger snapped, as you see, the derailleur itself is in pretty rag order. So unless we took a completely new derailleur with us, there probably wasn't much we could have done on this occasion. But having a derailleur hanger is definitely something that you should consider when you're going out on some off-road rides. And actually, this is probably a little bit of karma for me, because I remember when we did our London to Paris ride back last year, my friend Chris took a spare hanger for his road bike, and I remember saying to him, "Oh, you're not going to need that." And then look what happens when we go for an off-road ride. Yeah, sometimes you do need those spare parts that you don't think about. So in terms of what we tried, we removed the derailleur completely, we shortened the chain and tried to get the chain to stay on one cog at the back and then either the big ring or the granny ring at the front on the crank. It worked for about 10 metres, but unfortunately, as soon as Jimmy started putting any sort of power down, the chain at the back just wanted to keep moving down the range of the cassette, and then once it had done that, the chain was sort of so twisted and out of line, the chain line was so off that it wouldn't then pass around the crank at the front, so it just became impossible to pedal it, unfortunately. When I eventually got back to the group, I did try to lengthen the chain a little bit more to try and put it in the first gear, in the biggest cog at the back, to try and straighten the chain line up and then try and keep it on that gear there, and then the granny ring at the front, the small ring on the chain rings. But again, that didn't seem to work, and it just wanted to keep working its way down the cassette. So yeah, unfortunately it just ended up being one of those freak situations where there was really no solution other than abandoning the ride and Jimmy having to make his way back. As I was saying goodbye to Jimmy, I saw him ride off, and as I said earlier, he got about 5 or 10 metres, the chain came off, his legs started spinning round on the cranks, and I just thought, I can't leave this guy to walk 10 miles back to the car. So I abandoned the ride at that point. I said goodbye to the rest of the guys who carried on, and then we walked back down to the road, and obviously I went to get the car, which I think is probably the best outcome in a situation like that. You can't be leaving your mates behind when they've had a serious mechanical like that. But yeah, freak accident. Hopefully something like that will never happen again once I get his bike up and running. And just to address a question that a few of the guys in the group were making, would it have been any different if I was using anything other than a cheap Chinese derailleur? I honestly don't think this was the issue. As I say, I don't know exactly what happened, but looking at the way that jockey wheel is chewed up at the back, it seems obvious that something has flown into that, jammed up the chain and the jockey wheels, and then even with the derailleur snapping, there was really no choice but for the derailleur to get dragged through the rear triangle and end up in this absolutely mashed condition. So I think any derailleur unfortunately would have ended up in the same situation, so I don't think it has anything to do with L-TWOO itself. And as I say, I've bought another one of these, such is my confidence that L-TWOO R9 derailleur wasn't the issue. But I will keep you updated as and when that derailleur arrives and I get it put on and we can get back out on the road. And we have got another off-road ride booked in a couple of weeks' time, but for some more local trails around here. So it won't be quite as difficult if we do end up with any more serious mechanicals, but fingers crossed that doesn't happen. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, guys. Sorry this was probably a little bit shorter of a video than usual and not as much information as usual, but thank you for sticking around. I really appreciate you watching. I hope, if nothing else, there's a little bit of useful information that you can gain from this. And again, remember to take a spare derailleur hanger with you, because if the worst doesn't happen and the derailleur itself is absolutely fine when you have a mechanical, then having that spare hanger will help you get back on the road. But yeah, as I say, thank you very much for watching, guys. Hope you found it interesting and useful, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.